Private Rodriguez was assigned to the night watch. Part of making his rounds was going to the second floor of the communications area in the barracks. As he was about to reach the second floor, he felt someone close to him. He looks around and he sees no one. He dismissed it as just some of the members of his platoon playing a prank on him, but this was no joke. He is thrown down the stairs with an unbelievable force. Confused and hurt, he looked back to the top of the stairs. What he saw was something that he would never forget for as long as he lives. Uy Cucuy, welcome back to the Mexighost Tales. I am your host, Danny Chavez, and today's story takes place in Durango, specifically on the capital of the state, which, like Chihuahua, has the same name. So we're going to the city of Durango, which is a state that is located in the northwest of Mexico. But also, if this type of content is for you, click that subscribe button, leave a like, and comment. What other stories would you like to hear? We are open to suggestions. We're also on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. You can find us as the Mexighost. Make sure you check us out over there as well. I am extremely grateful that you are joining me throughout this journey on Mexico's other history. This legend came to us by an actual Mexican military recruit that we will name Jose to keep his identity concealed. Jose had served the military for his first contract, which lasted 3 years. He then renewed with the military branch and was assigned to the 10th military zone in the city of Durango. Jose had a true passion for the military. He had kept a clean record. He was never reprimanded. He always fulfilled the missions that he was assigned to and was held in high regard by his commanding officers and his peers alike. So it truly came as a surprise when Jose deserted the military. The reason was his encounter with el seminarista del cuartel, or the Barracks Seminarian, a ghost that would haunt the staircase of the communications patio of the military headquarters of the previously mentioned 10th military zone, scaring away numerous military personnel when assigned to keep watch on this area. The rumors had started spreading, and it was common knowledge that in the communications patio, a lot of military personnel had seen a priest wandering the staircase of the second floor, and that many of these soldiers had suffered heart attacks when realizing they were in the presence of a ghost. This was the cause of their demise. Unfortunately for Jose, he was assigned to keep watch in the communications patio the very first night his battalion arrived to the place. Without knowing of the supernatural manifestations, Jose started walking up the stairs when he saw a young, slender man that pushed him with such force that Jose went rolling all the way down those same stairs. Jose stood back up again. He was surprised of what just happened to him. He could even feel he took a few blows to the body. To his surprise, there was no one up the stairs. Confused, he looked around and saw nothing out of the ordinary. He immediately advised his superiors of the incident. They ordered a search of the premises. Someone like Jose would not lie about this. However, the search of the building came back with no results. The building was clear, and no one else saw the individual described by Jose. Jose, for the first time in his military career, was reprimanded for lying and was ordered to go back and complete the task that was assigned to him. After a few minutes of trying to process what had just happened, Jose mustered enough courage to head back up the stairs again, and just before he was about to set foot on the last step, he felt it again. a brute, mysterious force sent him airborne, crashing down the stairs. This time, the force was such that his weapon safety came off, firing a round by accident, calling the attention of other recruits. These recruits ran to check what was happening. They saw Jose getting up, and they started to laugh at him and mock him. "Jose, you need more sleep, man. You see, I told you, you need more sleep." It wasn't long before his command got wind of the situation and the accidental discharge, and Jose was arrested. His sentence? 15 days of nocturnal watch in the communications patio. So he would stop being scared of the place, or so they thought. Night after night, Jose would endure nocturnal beatings by the seminarian. He would be pushed down the stairs night in and night out for 3 nights in a row. Jose decided he could not take it anymore, and he deserted the military for good, but not without picking up the following story that would help him gain a clearer picture of what was going on. It turns out that in the last years of the 19th century, the building that is now occupied by the 10th Military Zone was home to the Conciliar Seminary of Durango. This was a higher learning institution that formed a large group of priests that served the Catholic community in Durango. The seminary was indeed a prestigious institution, as they would only accept top prospects for priesthood. Their dropout ratio was basically non-existent, and all the priests that graduated from that seminary were by default almost treated as royalty in the small towns and rancherias all over the state of Durango. Back in 1908, the priest of the town of Nazas sent a young man by the name of Juan de Dios Izaguirre Noguera to be vetted by the seminary council. Although he was an orphan at a very young age, Izaguirre Noguera was a very respectful young man who upheld very high moral standards and was a devout Catholic who would sacrifice selflessly for the good of others. He lived with his older sister, and his proposal for joining the seminary would be immediately accepted by the enrollment council. He soon became one of the top students in the institution. The prospects will be held in isolation to complete their studies and even more to test their faith as men of God. They were allowed to go out for walks once a month to Las Alamedas, a wooded area in town that would constitute the only walk path in those years. In one of those walks, Juan de Dios met a young woman about his age by the name of Edelmira, and she was beautiful. Their first encounter was a quiet one. Juan de Dios, even though he was taken aback by Edelmira's beauty, he took it as a distraction from his vocation and nothing more. However, Edelmira, on the other hand, had thought that Juan de Dios was the most handsome man she had ever seen in her life and was determined to meet with him again. Another month came around and Juan de Dios was out for his walk when he was intercepted by Edelmira, who said, "Excuse me, what is your name?" "I'm Edelmira, and I live on Canoa Street, close to the Acequia Grande." Juan de Dios felt flattered and only smiled at his young admirer and excused himself without answering any of Edelmira's questions and walked away. Edelmira felt disrespected, and she swore to forget him and never talk to him again. But she later thought to herself, who does he think he is? Soon, Edelmira would make her life mission to make Juan de Dios fall in love with her. She was able to find out that he was in his first year of philosophy studies and that he was from the town of Nazas, Durango. Juan de Dios, on the other hand, decided to renounce to his Sunday walks to avoid the encounters with Edelmira. He retreated back to the seminary, to his studies, and remained in prayer throughout this time. Soon, the seminarian would be out on summer break. Juan de Dios would visit his sister Valentina in his hometown of Nazas, and once he made the long journey in the slow-moving horse carriage to her sister's home, Juan de Dios was unpleasantly surprised to find Edelmira staying at her sister's house as the guest of honor. Juan de Dios decided to spend the night at a guest house in town and would return back to the seminary at the break of dawn. However, his sister Valentina pleaded with him to spend at least a week so they could catch up. She loved him as a son and didn't want him to leave so soon. Juan de Dios, looking at his sisters with tears in her eyes, opted to stay. Sure enough, Edelmira would see that they would spend time alone and invited him for a walk. The sins of the flesh overwhelmed Juan de Dios, and both him and Edelmira would consummate their passion all that summer. The time to return to Durango came too soon for the now young lovers. They took the same carriage ride back home. Juan de Dios even left Edelmira at her doorstep and gave her a kiss. The time they spent together in Nassau wasn't without no consequence, as Edelmira found out that she was carrying a baby from the forbidden relationship. Juan de Dios continued with his studies. He was now in the second year of philosophy, but he couldn't forget the time with Edelmira. He would sneak out by tying his bed sheets and climbing down the window to meet with her. The year was 1910. Word had spread around the town that the Revolutionary Army was about to take over the town. The decision was made to close down the seminary for the rest of the school year. The director asked for 2 volunteers to stay back and keep watch of the building. Of course, Juan de Dios jumped at the opportunity to stay close to Edelmira. As soon as the school personnel and other students left, Juan de Dios started looking for his lover. He took her to the seminary where he would have her hiding. The Revolutionary War in Durango started picking up. Obviously, this was not a safe place for a pregnant woman, especially not in the later stages of her pregnancy and a few days away from giving birth. Edelmira started feeling that it was time, and Juan de Dios had to make a decision. Meanwhile, Edelmira would not withstand the birth pains and passed away along with her baby. Desperate with the pain of his loss, Juan de Dios tormented himself for 2 days and 2 nights. He had no idea what to do. All of a sudden, he remembered there was a hole in a wall behind a cupboard in the seminary and decided to place the bodies there. He then proceeded to place brick and mortar to cover the hole and hide away the burial site. The loss was so overwhelming for Juan de Dios that he eventually started losing his mind. He would just stay on the stairs, standing watch, trying to prevent anyone from coming near the place where he had disposed of the bodies. Soon after, the revolutionary soldiers made their way inside the seminary. As they were going up the stairs, Juan de Dios attacked the group of soldiers. He fought them with everything he had, ferociously trying to defend the resting place of his loved ones. However, there's only so much a man can do against a group of military personnel. The soldiers, although hesitant due to thinking that Juan de Dios was a priest, they decided to shoot him and end his life. Juan de Dios still roams the second floor of the building to this day as a divine sentence. The Mexican military took possession of the old seminary and made it the headquarters of the 10th Military Zone. Amongst the soldiers, it is well known that if there's any type of misbehavior or shenanigans, the punishment is to keep watch on the communications patio. There are several stories of recruits being pushed down the stairs or getting beat up. Some have even been lucky enough to see their attacker, and it's none other than Juan de Dios Izaguirre Noguera. And with that, we come to the end of this episode of the Mexighost Tales. If you like this video, Please give it a like, share it, subscribe to the channel. You can also follow us on our Facebook page, Instagram, and TikTok as the Mexighost. And we'll see you on the next one, where we will explore another part of Mexico's other history.
Y celebraremos una gran fiesta mexicana juntos.
¿De qué fiesta hablas?
Noviembre 2.
¿Y qué celebran?
A los muertos.